Okay, good morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst at Yeshivas Tzameh Nafshi in Yerushalayim Kodesh. We're located in the Chanukah Yeshivas building on Rehov Zichron Yaakov number 6. We're close to the central bus station, so if you'd like to join us, you can walk, bus, or drive. And if you're coming from Chutz La'aretz, please feel free to. You have to fly here first. Come on, good morning. So please feel free to join us. We're learning Mishna Berura here, Hilchos Chanukah. Chanukah is a few days away. And we're just over here about those things which are permissible to do by the light of the Ner Hanukkah or not. The Mechaber says, we will have the place, maybe let's start right in the beginning. You want to continue a bit? It says there, Lefisha Asur Ishtamis B'ner Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Lefisha Asur Ishtamis B'ner Hanukkah. We're going to use a Chanukah candle, Ben b'Shabbat, Ben b'Chol. Whether it's on Shabbos or it's one of the weekdays, I feel livdok. We're going to check out coins or money, or the motan, or to count them.
Meaning, looking, you want to check them. Are these shekels or these dimes, right? You're not counting them. You just want to see are these shekels or dimes, are these quarters or 5 shekel pieces. That's just looking at them to look at money. Or you want to see if it's good money, it's not so good money, or now you want to count. You want to count the money. Also, that's also to do by the light of the Ner Hanukkah.
Should you be counting money?
Well, during Hanukkah, yeah, especially
the whole year.
Hanukkah
Should you be counting your money? Then Hanukkah is okay.
Right. Filu, go ahead.
I feel a tashmish shel kedusha. Even if uses of
holy
purpose could go in the modora to learn Torah by the light of it, also is also forbidden. The yesh mishim atir. There is someone that is matir is permitting it. Tashmish shel kedusha. Holy purpose. There's those who say that's a mutar. And ogim ladlik. Ner nosaf, we're accustomed to light an extra candle. Kadesh yishtamesh lo ra. For if he wants to use the light of the Chanukah, you will use the light of the shamish, of the ner nosaf. Yellow or nosaf will be from the light of the additional candle. Shu oto udlak acharon. Shu udlak acharon. That was lit last.
According to this, the Macabre, the Shamish is a separate ner, which is, as the Mishna said in the Berura, it's usually our Hanukkahs have a special place for the Shamish, and that's the one that's lit last, and it's a separate, independent ner. Go ahead.
It says Acharon.
Yes.
Acharon is last.
Yes, meaning if it's the third night of Hanukkah, you light 3 lights of the Ner Hanukkah, and then the last night you light the 4th one is the Ner Nosif, the additional Ner which is called the Shamish.
How do you light the other? But the minute is that
hold on, we'll see.
In the minute that we use the Shamish to light the first 3?
Well, if you use oil, how are you going to use oil to light the other 3?
So those are light candles. So we take the first candle, that's a shamash, and
right.
light the other 3.
Right.
With the oil, so you take a wax candle,
right,
and then you light the oil. Yeah. So here it says achron.
Okay, hold on. Let's
so
I don't understand.
No, let's follow. Let's continue with a bit. Continue a bit. Don't follow. Go on.
Okay.
Right. Where's this Ner Nosif? Where's this additional candle placed?
Further away from the candles of the mitzvah.
Of the Ner Mitzvah. So you have 2 types of candles on Hanukkah. You have Ner Mitzvah, and then you have the Ner Nosif. Right?
So
maybe it's not the shamish.
That's not the shamish.
Okay, let's see the Ramah. Take a look at the Ramah. In these regions.
We're not accustomed to add on another candle. It leaves by them the shamash. Shabo Madlik Hanot, by which he lights the other candles.
So the Ramah says in his Medinos, right, that was basically Europe, they weren't going to add an additional light, candle, only at the end, right? Rather, they would put down the shamish that they used to light the other neirs, and that would be the ner nos.
What story was that match?
Why not? Okay. Shouldn't be anything wrong with it. Right? You'll still have to have a ner nosif. I mean,
You have to have
you have to, now,
You have to strike it.
right. Well, you
Get
can,
into it.
we'll see, hold on. The Ramah says, and not only that, he takes a stand here, not like the Mechaber. The Mechaber said, the halach according to the Mechaber is you have a ner nosif, and that's something which is placed a little bit further away from the ner mitzvahs. The Ramah says we have something else, which he says is even better, right? We have a shamish, which is used to light the neros, and we place that shamish down as the shamish that will be the ner nosif. Okay, that's idif tvei. It's even better. Reyesh.
Yesh Soto Yutir Aroch. You have to make it longer. It has to be a longer, a bigger candle. You shine it from the rest of the candles. Shebal Ishtamesh Lo Torah Ner. He comes to use the Chanukah. He will use the light of the shamash.
Also ner of that ner of the ner of the shamish. Okay, so let's just review. Very good. Okay, we'll review again. It says the Mechaber Lefi Shasl Shamish B'ner Hanukkah, since it's forbidden to use the candle of Hanukkah, the ner mitzvahs of Hanukkah, Bein b'Shabbos, Bein b'Chol, whether it's on Shabbos, whether it's on the weekdays, to do anything. I feel livdoik mois, even just to check money, olim noisa, or lim noisa, or to count them, the oyer, also, or even to count money by the ner's mitzvah of Hanukkah. That's also. I feel Tash Mishal Kedusha could go in Lil Menorah, even if you just want to learn by the light of the menorah, that's forbidden. Also, V'yesh Mishamata V'Tash Mishal Kedusha, there are those that do permit Tash Mishal Kedusha. For example, if you want to learn by the light of the Chanukah, that would be permitted according to this second opinion. Right? When Noegin, right, Lahadlik Ner Nosef, Kedei She'im, Dishtamish Lo'ira, and the custom that the Mechaber writes is that we add an additional candle in order that if you want to come to use the light, or a noisef, you'll be using that additional light, shu hudlat akum, which is lit last. What do you do? Where do you put this additional candle light? You put it merachak ketzat mishar ner mitzvah. You put it somewhat a little bit further away from the other ners of mitzvah, the candles of mitzvah. And the Ramah adds, "B'medinas elu, in these regions, ein noigin loisif, we don't add an extra candle, right? And yach etzon hashamish shebo marlik haneros. Rather, we put down that candle which was used to light the other neros. V'hu aidif tvei, and that's better than the advice of the Beis Yosef. V'yesh la'asoso yoser oirech misharneros. This shamish should be a longer lasting candle than the other neros. Why? Shimbal istamish tashmish, or therefore you should, if you come to use it, you'll use the or of the shamish and not the ner of the mitzvah. Okay, let's see the Mishna
Do
Berura.
the Spartan use the shamash? I'm not so sure.
I'm not so sure either. Okay, let's see.
So I could make from one. I have 4 boys in the house,
Yeah.
so I can make 4 Chanukah, one shamash. Well, everyone has their own shamash.
According to the Ramah, this probably one would be enough. Would be enough.
And now I could read, because I have a shamash that I could read every Shabbos. I could use, if I want to read the whole, I can read now because I'm using the shamash to read, not the other.
That's right.
4
No,
next
no,
to it.
sir.
That's the ner nosaf, right? But we learned previously, if you remember, that on Shabbos, Hanukkah Shabbos, that ner nosaf is going to have the quality wicks and oils of Shabbos standards, because we're going to be using that, and therefore you might come to us to show and do something to improve the light. That's why we have the gezerah of the high standards required for Shabbos candles.
Hashem, in the Beis Hamikdash, how do they light the candles? There was
was
Shemin,
there-
and there's also the Shamash.
Right.
So how did they do the
Well, I don't know
Shamash?
if there wasn't a
No,
shamash.
no,
There was
there wasn't?
seven.
No, it was
Seven.
just seven,
Seven,
seven
that
candles
was
of
it.
the same.
Now,
The
how
other
did-
one's higher up or something?
Yeah, I'm
No,
not sure about that.
I think Aaron had a match.
I'm not sure.
They're all
No,
shot,
it's
they're all-
listen.
they're all
No,
the
okay,
same.
I'm not, I don't know, I don't know.
All the-
You know, have to
they're all
see.
level.
They're all level, right?
Yeah, I think they were all there, they were all equal. There was the middle one, and then three on each side. And then the Ner Movavi had a special importance. We saw the Rashi there. That was the Adis. It was the Shechina Shor of it in Klaius, because the Ner Movavi would last longer than the other ones. But we'll return to that in Yitzhak Hashem. Let's take a look what the Mishnah Berura has to teach us about all this. We'll begin with the Mishnah Berura in Sif Katan Ches. No, excuse me, Zion. Have it there. Since it's usher to use the Ner Chanukah. Rachmi, might continue? You have the place there?
Discussions using the Chanukah for besides the mitzvah, it's not allowed to use the
Forbidden, yeah, absolutely awesome.
כפי שאסור להשתמש. היינו אפילו אותן שמוסיפים מהגרעין בכל לילה. Even the candles that are they add on every night as part of the Ner Chanukah. Even there, you're not allowed to use.
Or the Mahadran.
Even the Mahadran. גם כן אסור להשתמש לעורן.
So, the meaning all of whatever you're doing, whether you're just doing it as the Ner Ishu base, so one Ner every night for one person, or if you're going to be adding on additional candles each and every night, right? They all have a status of being a Ner mitzvah, right? So even though you might think that these are extra Mahadrin mitzvahs of Ner, then you might think I could use that light. No, anything that's lit for the sake of the Ner Hanukkah, whether it's Mikra Din or it's the Mahadrin, they're all also to use the light of those candles.
Adding another light every night for 8 nights, that's Mahadran? Is there any other way of doing it that's not Mahadran? I don't think so.
Yeah,
Well-
one candle each night.
Huh?
You light one candle each night. That's the Ikr Din.
I mean,
One candle each night.
And we light all the candles. First we light the new
That's-
one, and then we light the others.
right, we add another candle every night.
So you really don't have to light the previous ones? They could be on
If people have to, if a person doesn't have money and it's not kasher, so you can say the Choran one.
I mean, the minimal that a person needs, the minimal number of let's say we're talking about candles, the minimal number of candles a person needs to have for Hanukkah is 8 candles. One candle for every night.
But every box has 44, okay.
Every box has 44.
Could have wait for a few years.
And they have to be different colors, so. I hit them into.
They should be make sure they burn long
And
enough
from the Hebrew
time.
Academy of Cleveland, but okay.
Okay. Yeah, so even if you're going to be adding a Mahadrim, then they have to, it's still forbidden to use the light from those candles as well. Chet in the Mishnah Berura.
בני חנוכה, כדי שיהיה ניכר, שהוא be recognizable, שהוא נר מצווה לפרסם הנס. The car that would be recognized as this shoe. There's a candle, a mitzvah candle, to publicize the miracle.
Oh, so what are we being taught here? Again, the Mechaber said, Lefisha asur l'shtamish b'ner Hanukkah, since it's forbidden to use the light of the Ner Hanukkah. Why? Kedei she'en nikar shu ner mitzvah leforasem hanes. You cannot use the light of the Ner Hanukkah because you want to make it distinct and clear that this is a Ner mitzvah that was lit to mefarsim the nes. Right? So now, does that seem to indicate that there's an essential kedusha in the light of the Ner Hanukkah, or does it say that no, if I would use the light, it wouldn't be distinct from any other light that I would use for my own purposes? So it's not distinctly known that I'm lighting. What I'm lighting is for the sake of a
There's some nice.
Persumi Nisa. According to this Talmud, the Mishnah Berura, apparently there's no inherent kedusha in the Neres Hanukkah. Right? So when you say Haneros Halal Kodesh Haim, right? That's not what the Mishna was teaching me. The Mishna was telling me that you have to have it. You cannot use the ore of the Ner Hanukkah, because if you would use that light, it wouldn't look like you're doing a mitzvah. It look like you're counting your money. You lit a candle to count your money by. You lit a candle to learn the Marsha, the Gemara and Shabbos. That's why you lit this light. So where's your Persumi Nisa? You have no Persumi Nisa.
Well, how would that, if you use the light, how would that exclude the fact that it's a special thing?
Oh, because
It's not nicker. You haven't done anything to make it recognizable that these lights are special. The whole purpose of the Hanukkah candles, the Hanukkah lights, this is a special lighting that you're doing in honor of Hanukkah, or to observe Hanukkah. If you use it stam, then you haven't made it recognizable that you're doing something special with it. The lights need to be lit and put off effectively put off, separate from the way the rest of your operation, the rest of the things you're doing. So those lights are special. I'm not using them. Those lights are specifically for Hanukkah.
they're off limits. These lights are off limits. These lights are off limits. Why are they off limits? Is it because they have a special kedusha to them, and you can't use the kedusha? It's also to use the kedusha, or because because if I don't set them apart and I don't make them off limits, they look like any other light I'm using, and there's no Persumi Nisa. So according to this reason of the Mishnah Berura, you have to have a heker that this is a ner which was lit for the sake of Persumi Nisa, and therefore it's also for me to use that light. Okay? Now,
and isn't there a half an hour that you have to let them burn? Is that
half an hour, there's a special zman that you have to let them burn. Now, if you just drop down quickly to the Shar Tzion, that's Rashi. Okay? The first reason that the Mishnah Berura just quoted is based on Rashi, right? Rashi is learning that the reason why Ner Hanukkah is off limits is because you have to create a knowledge in the minds and eyes of people that what you just did was a Ner Shel Mitzvah for the sake of Persumi Nisa. Let's continue on in the Mishnah Berura. This is a very, very enlightening Mishnah Berura. Right? V'oi. Furthermore,
Kivan, because she al yidei nes shnaseh b'mura tiknuha, Kivan she al yidei nes shnaseh b'mura tiknuha, because of the miracle of the menorah, they established it.
Since it was through a miracle, Shenasa, that had been done with the menorah, tiknuha, they set up the mitzvah of the Persumi Nisa through being done with the menorah. The miracle took place through the menorah. It was set up that the mitzvah would be done through the lighting of a menorah, right?
Asauha kimnurah. They made it like the menorah of the Beit Mikdash. She'ein mishtamshin ba klal. They're not allowed to use it at all.
Right, so they made it like the menorah of the Beis Hamikdash, that you cannot use that light at all, which introduces the concept of kedusha, right? Just like the light from menorah, which was obviously hektish, right? In the Beis Hamikdash, so they set it up that it should be just like the menorah of the Beis Hamikdash, in which case there's a certain inherent kedusha to the lights and illumination of the menorah that's in the room that you're lighting now. So you have two different reasons. You have the reason of Rashi, has to be a heker. If I would use the light of the menorah for my mundane purposes, my personal purposes, even according to the first opinion in the Mekam, even it's a Tashmish Kedusha. If I read Torah, if I want to learn Torah by that, still I'm using it for my own purposes, right? There's no heker that this is a ner that was lit for the sake of Persumi Nisa. The Ran says another svara, right? Since the nes was done through the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, they wanted to set it up that our mitzvah of Persumi Nisa should be done with the menorah, and it should be like the menorah of the Beis Hamikdash, in which case the light from menorah would and was asur b'hana. So likewise, our light, which we're lighting, is also going to be forbidden to use for any purpose whatsoever. Okay? So we
Just
see.
a question.
Yeah, sure.
So by the Beit HaMikdash, what kind of lighting did they have in the Mikdash? They had the menorah lit up. You're not allowed to use it.
Not at all.
They didn't have electricity either.
Not at
So
all.
what did they use?
They probably had sconces, like on the wall. They probably had like sconces on the walls.
What do you mean? What's the story?
It just, they had lamps on the
Oil
walls.
lamps?
Yeah, on the
Oh,
walls.
lamps.
Yeah.
Possibly. Again, I don't know. I mean,
It's not, nobody,
I'm not-
it's not in the Mishnah
I don't
about
think
it.
so. No, it's not really
But this is,
specific.
just,
Yeah.
May have been a miracle that it was light in there.
Okay, the question is, but you're not going to be. How are you going to like? Again, the menorah was there with the shulchan and with the mizbeach hazahav.
Right.
So there was a lot of things taking place there. Meaning on Shabbos, for example, the kohen would come in with the fresh breads, and they would remove the old breads,
Right.
and that was a very technical and I imagine might be even complicated process. So they had to have light to do that, right? And as you say, it was a enclosed structure, right? So again, that we can try and open up that as a line of thought and a subject to try and
Can I
explore.
also ask the question on the Mishkan?
Yeah, the same thing applied. Whatever was in the Mishna was in the base of Mikdash.
clear, there were places, when
There
the
are torches, there are
Mishnah
torches over there going in?
they had torches, they talk about meduras on the walls,
Huh.
like certainly through the tunnels underneath, they had the
Huh.
torches there. There's probably they had torches in the basement, also some people had light. It was dark at night, you could, since you were walking around at night, just,
Daytime.
well, daytime you can see, but at night, they're walking around at night, there's still parts of the avodah that had to be done at night. You-
Yeah, I mean, you have to, I mean, look, it's the Mishnah and Tamid, when they would come in at the very beginning, they would open the doors, right?
Right.
They'd open the doors and they would go and along the courtyard, where there's a pathway on both sides of the courtyard, they would have
Torches,
doors,
with
there were
torches.
torches, and they would go and see, and there was, because obviously it was just before dawn, and it was dark at the time, and there was obviously no light in the base of Mikdash. So again, there was not too much going on at night. They really kind of closed up after the Ben Arabayim the Mizbeach was left to more or less the Trumas Adeshin. The next
Burn
morning
out.
we clean up to burn out.
Yeah.
But in the Heichel now, look, in the Mishkan it was covered over by the skins with 3 layers. In the Heichel of the base of Mikdash, I don't know if it was actually
I think
open.
it was
It was
open.
open from the top here. It could be it was open from the top. Again,
They
it's-
might have windows,
by the
they
Heichel.
might have windows.
There might have been windows. Okay, that's something which we can
That was
try and
before
find out
Shabbat
about.
Chashmal, right?
Oh, much longer before. They didn't Hashmal.
Didn't even Kanesin wasn't.
So they'd have to pay the utility bill.
Right. But there was no shamish there, and there was no if there was other lights. So how they were nena from the light of the menorah? Obviously, they were not getting benefit from the menorah. So I mean, if we have time, we can look into that a little bit more. Let's continue, Mr. Berura. Cotton Tess, Bain,
Bain.
Bain,
Shabbat.
and whether on Shabbos or the weekday, you cannot use it.
I know that feel the hall, אצלן, סעודת מצווה, גם כן אסור. Even to have the Shabbos meal by the Chanukah, סעודת מצווה, גם כן אסור. Even if it's סעודת mitzvah, it's also forbidden.
Oh, so even what you would think would be a very elevated experience of having the Shabbos Suda, likewise you can't even eat your Shabbos Suda at the benefit of the Ner Chanukah. Okay? That's all without a Shabbos.
That's specifically why they say Bein Shabbos.
Yeah.
Because Shabbos has its special
Yeah,
conditions.
you might think that might be permissibilities on Shabbos. Correct. Okay, Sif Cotton, you would?
But feel if dog, that's money or coins, shoot hashmish arai. There's a temporary usage. Gam kin asur, also forbidden. Vayin b'magin avaham. And look at the Magin Avaham about Taz. Sheskimu afilu b'notan nevachok. Even if you count them from far away, she'en yadav smuchot l'ner, gam kin asur. Even if your hands are she'en yadav smuchot l'ner, the hands are not close to the candle, it's also forbidden.
Right. So even what we would call as the, just checking your money, which is the Mishna refers to as a tashmis slight, it's a very, very slight type of a usage, right? And it's only a temporary usage, it's not something which you're doing with a long time in mind. Also that's usher. And as it says further, you take a look at the Magen Avraham and the Taz, that they're both in agreement, even if you want to count the money from far away, right, that your hands are not really close to the nair, and even then it would say maybe it's not nicker, it's not, if the nair is here and you're counting the money right here, so obviously it's nicker, it's obviously clear that you're using the light of the menorah to count your money, but if it's on the far side of the room, it's not directly apparent that you're counting the money by the or the menorah, the nair mitzvah, nevertheless it's still usher.
Why does the Mishnah use counting money as an example of some kind of minor activity? Are we then emphasizing the money and the dashias? Maybe there are other things that maybe you want to check your tzitzis, let's say.
Yeah, you could
Because
do that. One of you.
What?
Yeah.
Chanukah, you can tzedakah, you have to see what you're
Because
getting.
again, we're talking about the time that
Did they give Chanukah gelt in the time of...
yeah, for sure.
What? You sure about that?
We said the Mr. Berura brings down, the Pri Megadim brings down that there was a because the Avanim came against Torah, Avodah, Gemilch's Chasadim, they want to uproot all the three foundations of the world. So Torah, we have to learn Torah on Hanukkah. Avodah, we have to pray, it's Hallel and Al Nisim, and we have to do Gemilch's Chasadim. What better Gemilch's Chasadim can do is give me tzedakah on Hanukkah.
Well, I thought it was giving to the kids Chanukah gelt.
I don't know if it's tzedakah. They're going to buy bubble gum from that.
Why? My thought is like, I thought my grandchildren, when they comes, what do you bring me? I thought that was
I don't know if you can give. I don't know if you give from my money to the Chanukah gelt for the kids. I don't think you can do that.
So now I have a reason not
You
to
have to
give.
talk to your accountant.
No, I have a reason not to give. Could I quote you, Rabbi?
Quote me. I'll
No, I
take the.
edited
I'll
like
take the
that.
rap. I'll take the blame. But you shouldn't take the blame. Blame the rabbi. That was about the giving the tzedakah. That was the Mishnah Berura we learned over here in Taf Reish Ayin Aleph. The Mishnah Berura said Taf Reish Ayin. Mishnah Berura said, I'll just quote it. It's a good thing to know. V'noigim aniyim l'soyivev v'Hanukkah al pesachim v'yesh tam l'zeh. And the custom among the poor is that they go from door to door, and there's a reason for this.
They circulate, huh?
Yeah, they circulate, that's right. And the Pri Megadim explains that why, because the Yavanim came against uprooting the three foundations of the world, Torah, Avodah, Gemilch's Chasadim. So we also have to do Gemilch's Chasadim, Mamam and Begufo. Mamam is giving tzedakah.
Yeah, there's a little ditty in Yiddish, Heintis Purim Morgan is always give me a Galush and should be a Lois. But they don't say that by context.
No.
So I don't know.
Well, as Purim, the Purim is that's Mahadrim and Mahadrim was only up for the Matanas Lebanon.
So that's why they even made a ditty of that.
Okay. Yud Aleph in the Mishnah Berura, Asur, like as the Mechaber said, even the Tashmish Shel Kedusha, even if you want to learn, it's Asur. Right? Yud Aleph in the Mishnah Berura.
אסור, כדי שלא יהיו מצוות מזויות רק, the mitzvahs, they shouldn't be
It should be
Based?
degraded.
degraded.
Now this is a whole different reason. This is a whole different. This is a third reason why the Mishnah was introducing here. If it was because of the Ron's reason, that because it's like the menorah and there's some kind of essential kedusha in the lights of the menorah, so that's one thing. If it's the reason of Rashi, because you have to have a heker, that what you're doing is you look because it was in their mitzvah, that's another reason. And here it's another reason the mitzvah shouldn't be bezuyah. Now let me ask you something. How can it be where again the Yehuda Aleph, night afilu kagon afilu tashish kedusha lilmud laora osir? Why shouldn't be mitzvah shouldn't be bezuyah? How can that be that I'm learning about my Hanukkah, I'm learning the Gemara in Shabbos, right? Chaf Aleph, my Hanukkah, I'm learning by the Neros of Hanukkah. How is that mitzvah bezuyin l'lam? This is a new svara that you're coming to disgrace the mitzvah by learning and certainly anything else, you're going to come to disgrace the mitzvah. There's a new svara here that the Mishna was introducing. Okay?
כדי שלא יהיו מצוות בזויות, דווקא specifically בזה שהוא על כל פנים תשמיש ארעי. It's talking specifically on a temporary usage. And also that is forbidden also. אבל, however, כל שאינו משמש כלום, רשאי לשב בביתו בשעה שנר חנוכה דולקת.
Oh. This is very good. If you're not sitting in the house with the light in the room from the Ner Hanukkah, that's not considered a usage of the light. You might be benefiting from the light because you see what's in the room, but you're not using the light.
But you also have the shamas.
We're talking about if there's no shamash, right? Because then with the shamash there, that eliminates all these difficulties. Exactly. Okay, so just take a look at that again. Okay, it's also kadesh lo yeh mitzvahs bezunim v'avadavke shu alkopanim tashmis arai. That's specifically talking about that it's a tashmis arai. Avo, right? I mean those things are usher. Even a tashmis arai, even a temporary usage, if it's a specific usage of the light, that's making the lights and the mitzvah disgraced in your eyes. You're disgracing the mitzvah. Avo kol she'ena mishamish klum, that there's no actual usage. Rishoy liyeshu b'beiso b'shasha ner Hanukkah dolekas. You're permitted to sit in the home, in the room where the ner Hanukkah is burning, even though you might be benefiting from it, you're not actually using the light, so that's permissible. That's again, we're talking as long as there's no shamish. If there's shamish, we'll get to that in a moment.
But how could you accomplish this otherwise? How could you light? So you have to run out of the room or something? That doesn't.
Right. So obviously you don't have to run out of the room. If you're just standing there, just sitting there, then you're okay. You're actually doing something. You're doing some type of an action, looking at your money, to counting your money, even learning, even eating your Suda Shabbat. You're having your matzah ball soup.
So that's
right?
temporary.
You took the fish.
So those are temporary activities. They're not permanent activities. Therefore, you're not benefiting from the light.
No, but the chiddush is if you're doing a tashmis arai, like counting money, it's only temporary. That's also forbidden. But something which is like what we call a davar shlili is shave bal kaseh. I'm not doing any actual action. All I'm doing is walking in the room. All I'm doing is sitting in the room, and I see what's in the room. Right? That's not a bizoyin to the mitzvah. That's not because you can explain it in according to Rashi, we understand a little bit better. Rashi says that you need to have a heker, that what I lit was a ner of mitzvah for pursuing Nisa. So if I'm just sitting in the room, I'm not doing anything which indicates that what I lit was a purposeful lighting for my own usages, right? According to the Ran, it's a little bit more difficult to understand. If we understand what the Ran, that the after was like the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash, then there's some actual kedusha in those lights. So, but again, what we were just talking about a few moments ago in the Beis Hamikdash in the Mishkan, apparently, unless they had other light sources, right, they also were able to use the lights in the. Again, well, hold on 1 second. Let's think. The menorah was lit in Erev, and it was by the morning was out. So really, no one was really no one's in there. No one's in there. So what we said about the lekin panim on Shabbos, that they really didn't have a problem. So it could be since it was only lit at night, there would be no problem. And even if it was kedushin, it's also being there from the hektish, the light of hektish. If there is such a thing as light of hektish, that's another question entirely. But that wouldn't interfere with the Kohen's usage of the heichel in the Beis Hamikdash, because it's only lit at night. Yeah, question.
I thought that we were supposed to gaze at the Hanukkah light.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, definitely so.
So that how is that not for our benefit?
No, we're not using.
That's the ultimate benefit, no?
It's a good time to daven, also to daven.
You're supposed to look at the light. You're supposed to have proper thoughts. You're supposed
pray,
to. There's a whole Kabbalistic thing going on with the lights.
Okay, so
It's like that's a serious benefit to me. I mean,
right. Okay,
It's a
so
skula for tefillah.
all right, so let's try and answer your question the following way. There's a question as to whether or not a person can sit in the shade of the Beis Hamikdash. When we had a Beis Hamikdash and there was the walls, or let's imagine for a moment that the Koisel, it's not, but let's imagine the Koisel was the wall of the Beis Hamikdash. It's certainly not. It's basically the wall of the Har Bayis, which was the boundary of the beginning of the Har, which went eventually up to the Har Bayis, right? But let's imagine if that was the wall of Beis Hamikdash, and it's a nice hot day, right? And you want to sit in a nice cool shade, right? Question: can you sit in the shade of the Beis Hamikdash? Okay. Now, whether you can or not, that's not the point right now. Okay. The point is that there's a question about sitting in the shade of the Beis Hamikdash. But does anyone say that you can't look at the Beis Hamikdash?
Nope.
As a matter of fact, there's a Gemara in Baba Basra that the second Beis Hamikdash made specially that there were white stones and then green bluish stones, and it was a beautiful thing to look and gaze upon that, and it looked like the waves of the sea. Looked like the waves of the sea. So you see, it was permissible to gaze, even intently, Istaklis, to gaze intently at the Beis Hamikdash, right? So apparently, looking at the Beis Hamikdash, gazing at the beauty, and let's say transfer that to the beautiful Neros Hanukkah that have just been lit, that's not apparently what we call a tashmis, or uses of the light, right? You may be enjoying it.
Let's start with the Yerech.
Yeah.
Yerech, you're just supposed to look at it for a second, and
Right.
then you're not supposed to look
Istaklis,
at it.
Istaklis
Because
is-
there's a special order over there also,
Yeah.
that's you're supposed to look at it.
Yeah, rainbow also. A rainbow, you're not supposed to
Also, you
really.
just look at it in Yerech and
Right,
more than that.
right, but so that's histaklis is something which is like staring intently at something. So you're not supposed to stare intently at the moon. You're not supposed to stare intently at a rainbow for various different reasons. We're not going to go into that right now. But by Hanukkah, you see, you can stare intently at the. So that even though you might be enjoying it, the enjoyment of the light is not exactly that's a hana. It doesn't say that you can't get hana from the light of the menorah. It says you can't mishtamish. You can't use the light of the menorah. Okay. At this point, we'll have to stop. But there's more to talk about this because there's a very important point which Malchus just raised. That what's the difference between hana and tashmish, usage and benefit?